Welcome to take 4, language, how you talk yourself into trouble without even realizing it. Let me say something that's going to annoy a lot of people straight away. Most people don't lose in family court because of what they did. They lose because of what they said, and not even what they said in a dramatic, explosive way, but the perfectly normal, human, emotionally understandable way that they spoke while believing they were being reasonable. That's the tragedy of it all. If you weren't lying, you weren't exaggerating, you weren't trying to manipulate anybody, you were just talking like a human being. And family court does not listen like a human being. Family court listens like a risk detection system. It doesn't hear meaning, it doesn't hear context, it doesn't hear pain, it hears signals. And once you understand that, a lot of past conversations start to really make sense in a really uncomfortable way, because suddenly you realize that wasn't taken how I meant it at all. And here's the mistake almost everyone makes. They assume the court hears intent. They think, if I'm honest, calm, and clear, people will understand where I'm coming from. That's how adults talk to adults. But family court isn't having a conversation with you. It's scanning you. Every word you use is unconsciously filtered through questions like, is this person escalating? Are they externalizing blame? Do they sound rigid? Do they appear emotionally regulated? Will they be manageable if this doesn't go their way? Not, are they right? Are they telling the truth? Are they justified? Manageability beats morality every single time. Now, here's where people start incriminating themselves without realizing it. They use words that feel obvious, words that feel true, words that feel necessary. Things like, she's lying. This is completely unfair. I've been treated appallingly. They're biased. I demand. I will not accept. And let me be clear. I'm not saying those statements are false. I'm saying the system hears something very different. It hears, this person escalates conflict. This person is rigid. This person externalizes responsibility. This person may be difficult to manage. And once that impression forms, it doesn't matter how good your point was, you haven't been judged, you've been classified. And this is where people push back and say, but I'm just being honest. Well, yeah, that's great. You're being honest, and honesty without discipline is noise. In a risk management system, noise equals instability. Family court is not asking, is this emotionally authentic? It's asking, does this make the situation easier or harder to contain? That's it. That's the entire test. Long explanations sound like loss of control. Emotional detail sounds like unpredictability. Urgency looks defensive. And here's the cruel bit. The calmer you feel, the less calm you may sound, if you're over-explaining, that is. Now let's talk about the word that ruins more cases than people realize. Insight. Insight. People hear that word and they panic. They think insight means I have to admit I did something wrong. I have to accept the allegation. I have to roll over. That's not what insight means in family court. Insight means, can you acknowledge concern without inflaming the situation? That you can show insight without conceding allegations. You can show reflection without self-destructing. You can acknowledge concern without agreeing to it. But the moment you say there is no concern here at all, the system hears this person lacks insight. And not because it's fair, but because it makes future management easier. Labels in family court are not moral judgments. They're administrative shortcuts. Now, here's the part people don't expect. There's language that quietly lowers the temperature, even when nothing has been resolved. Language like, I may be mistaken, but I understand the concern that's been raised. I can hear how this might appear. I can see how this might appear. My focus is on stability moving forward. I'm conscious of the impact of the conflict on my child. None of that admits guilt. None of it concedes truth. It concedes safety, and safety is what allows the system to loosen its grip. This isn't weakness, it's fluency. It's poetry. It's learning the language, and then in that environment you're standing in, instead of shouting in your own dialect and wondering why no one's responding. And this is the moment people usually go quiet, because they realize something uncomfortable. They weren't punished for what they did. They were punished for how they sounded. That's not justice. That's not fairness, and that's not nice. But it is the system. And once you understand that, you stop sabotaging yourself out of principle. Now, today's practice task, the language audit. Today, you're going to confront your own language honestly. Pick one document, message, or email you've written or are about to write. Then do this properly. First pass. Highlight anything that accuses, demands, escalates, over-explains, emotionally loads the sentence. No judgment, just noticing. Second pass. Rewrite it using neutral phrasing, acknowledgement of concern, forward focus, conditional language, some facts, different signal. And then you've got the third pass, which is read both versions back to back and ask one question only. Which version would make the system relax slightly? That's not the version that works then. So if today landed with you, you should feel a bit unsettled because you've just realized how often you've been speaking truthfully and being misunderstood. Anyway, tomorrow we go deeper. We go talk about all allegations as currency and why some claims are spent instantly, why others never get traction, and how the system trades allegations regardless of proofs. So it's too early, usually backfires.